So we spoke.
Exercising the life out of you with drugs.
We're just grabbing a bite after a good, I think we're on hour probably 25.
That's all that matters.
Of our full day trek, day and a half trek.
Yeah, we're still not at our final destination yet, so we're exhausted.
We're in Hong Kong enjoying some ramen actually. So, let's get to it. Paramount to getting us to this point has been an ample amount of research on both of our parts.
One of the things that you definitely want to do is discuss with a medical professional, whether that be your family physician or the pharmacist.
So we spoke with our beloved family doctor, Dr. Adrian Geambasu of Windermere Medical Clinic, and so much love. And we opened up the floor for him to discuss what you should expect from your own visit with a healthcare professional, should you embark on a Southeast Asian adventure as well. Keep in mind that this is strictly for the countries that we're visiting. Take it away, Dr. Adrian.
This is Dr. Adrian Geambasu, and he's going to explain everything that kind of is involved on the medical aspect of traveling to Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of conditions that come and go in these parts of the world. One of the most important things is to check the health advisories that may or may not be in place at the specific period that you want to go for. So I would definitely see a travel clinic or a physician or a pharmacist, whoever is closer to you and has the qualifications, to make sure you have enough time before you leave to have all these vaccinations in place. Public Health in Canada has all the records that you need to see when the last booster was, to make sure that you need it, because you may not need it if it's done, if it's been done in the last 10 years or so. What I would strongly suggest as well, having a small kit with common medications that can come handy. Let's say you're in the middle of the jungle in Vietnam, just picking one of them, and you have an infection, and the next decent place to get healthcare is miles and miles away. It's important to have something to start treating yourself if you know a little bit about all these infections, so you don't end up days later requiring much intense healthcare services. So I would strongly suggest to have a common antibiotic, not a whole bag of pills, but maybe just for 5 days. I would basically choose an antibiotic that would work even if it's a respiratory infection, or if it's a bladder infection, or a cellulitis. Ciprofloxacin is a very good choice for that. If somebody knows that they are allergic to different triggers, I would strongly recommend that they would have an EpiPen or some prednisone handy to start treating themselves in case they are in a remote area. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
So in our case, we needed 2 inoculations and 1 drinkable 2-part prescription. None of them were able to be taken within the same time frame, so within a week of each other. They all had to be staggered, and all of them needed to be completed at least a week before our departure. So we started our vaccination process, I believe, at the end of January.
The first of which, at the end of January, we were administered the Twinrix vaccine. I think it retails for about $60 to $70 Canadian, which protects against Hep A and Hep B. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it if you've gone on a vacation to Mexico. It's kind of one of the fundamental vaccines that you get. We were also prescribed essentially a cousin of DTaP, which was free for us. Long live Canada, home of the free healthcare. And it covers a few maladies like diphtheria and typhoid. Be warned though, that needle caused our arms to swell right at the site of injection. And
It definitely had a nickel-sized
it was like a lump. Yeah, it was like a hard
golf
lump.
ball?
Yeah. For about a week. So it's uncomfortable to say the least, but normal as far as what we experienced. But let that serve as further proof of why you need to space out your vaccinations properly, kids, because your body's going through some stuff with these.
Yeah. Lastly, we were prescribed Duperol. It's essentially a drink in 2 separate doses, and it helps protect against traveler's diarrhea, or mud pants, as we so lovingly like to refer to it.
So when it comes to the Duperol, it actually comes in a 2-part portion here. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to grab 150 milliliters of cold water, and then you're going to open the box and pull out the packet. That is essentially your sodium carbonate. That's essentially just to rehydrate you. So you're going to pour it into the water, and it's going to make a lovely little fizzing noise. So essentially you're going to stir that typically about 2 to 3 minutes, essentially until it is completely mixed in. You can usually gauge how well mixed and dissolved it is by how clear it is, how much sediment is on the bottom, and by if it still bubbles or adds any, fizzes to it. The next part, in that lovely little vial that looks like a white, creamy, viscous material, do not smell. It is not pleasant. You're going to slowly pour that into the mixture. That is the actual medicinal part that you need. So you're going to give that a nice stir. Mix it in well, mix it quickly, about 30 seconds or so. You don't need to go too long. You're going to want to start drinking this right away after ensuring that it is mixed in really well.
And it tastes like crap.
Bottoms up. They say it's supposed to taste like raspberry, but it's a lie.
We have a bottle of prednisone. Actually, I should probably have that out.
I have it in my bag. Oh no, I don't.
No, I haven't. Now, we keep it in our day pack, so we always have access to it at all times, because you never know. This would be prednisone. So, as Dr. Adrian said, the prednisone will be taken if you have an allergic reaction. It's essentially going to be the thing that prevents anaphylaxis.
It's like an EpiPen in pill form.
Exactly. So you can probably bring Benadryl along with you, or an EpiPen, or prednisone. You take it for 3 days, and
if you know that you have allergies, bring your anti-allergy pills. We're not aware of any specific allergies, so this was kind of just a precautionary if we suddenly find something.
Yeah, exactly. Rude. But we're exposing ourselves and our bodies to a completely different environment. So it's just good to be on the safer side. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So yeah, just for this bottle of 10 tablets, that was about $15 Canadian. So really could be a lifesaver. You never know. For $15, it's worth the expenditure.
On the note of emergency medication, we were also prescribed Cipro in the event that either of us were to suffer from traveler's diarrhea should the Duperol for some reason not work. We have a backup antibiotic just to treat us as quickly so that our fun isn't spoiled for too long.
We also purchased, I think it's called Nunu, and again, I should have had this out. Would you take my chopsticks out of there? I keep forgetting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Close. So close. It's called Noon Active. Let's see if I can get that. Noon Active comes in a bunch of different flavors. We got strawberry and lemonade. Very extra hydration tablet. Yeah, so it essentially dissolves in a glass of water or your water bottle and gives you that extra boost of needed hydration as the weather gets really hot in Southeast Asia.
Like we said in our first video, it is plus 38, and as Dr. Adrian has explained to us, it's not, when you start getting like diarrhea and being dehydrated, it's essentially the loss of electrolytes, and that's why people get sick or it becomes fatal. So this is to ensure that we have none of those issues. It's essentially the same as taking Gatorade, but pill form in your water.
Yeah, exactly. So you just need to mix it with 500 milliliters of water. 10 tablets come in just this tiny little bottle here. And I guess just with the hot days combined with regular trekking and the excitability of being in a new country, it's kind of just a recipe, for dehydration. So again, just always better to be prepared.
We also brought along just your basic drugstore medicine, so your Advil, Midol, Pepto, Tylenol, that kind of stuff. Final medical advice and preparation is that no matter how much you might think it is a waste of money, buy the travel insurance. There is a huge variety of companies that you can go through, and you can kind of see and find out quotes to find out whoever is cheaper. It's definitely something you don't want to skip out on, especially if you're going for a trip as long as ours. You never know what can happen. I mean, we're not expecting anything to happen, but that is why you buy health insurance. So that way, at least if anything happens, we know that we're covered.
We decided to go with World Nomad. Getting a quote was super simple. We just went to their website, and when comparing it to all the other ones, we just found that this one fit us the best. So for $400 between the two of us, we were both insured for up to $5 million worth of medical expenses, including emergency evacuation from whatever country we happen to be in. It covers all 4 countries that we will be in, and as well as trip delays and cancellations. So similar to the prednisone, it's better to be over-prepared than under in an emergency. So
And
plan
keep
ahead.
in mind, you might actually have travel insurance through your credit card company, through your bank, through your mortgage, whatever it might be. So it's always a good idea just to kind of call them and double check with them and make sure that you're not already covered, because then why would you buy something that you already have?
Exactly. So if you'd like more information on necessary travel medications and vaccinations or World Nomads, just follow the links in the description below. So,
Now that we've been there,
and done that,
we'll see
you
next time.
Bye. I've already had my first oopsie with this wonderful stuff. Now, the menu says yellow pickle, yellow radish. It is that, but also pork. I had myself a big yummy mouthful of that before I found out. So this wasn't quite an emergency because I'm quite well versed in spitting that shit out.